Wichita, Kansas has to be one of the most overlooked cities in the country. I visited Wichita last year, and I have to admit that my expectations for the city were low, but were exceeded throughout my time being there. In this series, I briefly cover a city's history, population, skyline, as well as a few things that make the city unique. Now let's meet Wichita. I always like to start by exploring how a city wound up being where it is today. Wichita is located at the confluence of the Arkansas and Little Arkansas rivers in what is today southern Kansas. Some of the earliest inhabitants of the area were the Wichita people, and in 1864, Jesse Chisholm established a trading post in the area. This was part of the legendary Chisholm Trail, which was used for cattle drives from Texas to railheads in Kansas. Incorporated in 1870, Wichita quickly evolved from a wild frontier town into a regional economic hub, especially as railroads and grain elevators proliferated across the Kansas plains. In the early 20th century, Wichita's identity shifted upward as it became the birthplace of major aviation companies and earned its nickname, the Air Capital of the World. Today, Wichita has a population of around 400,000 people, making it the 52nd largest city on paper in the country. I prefer to evaluate a city by its metro population, and Wichita has a metro population of around 660,000, making it the 89th largest metro in the country, falling between Ogden, Utah, and Palm Bay, Florida. Some of the most recognizable companies headquartered in Wichita include Freddy's, Textron Aviation, Spirit Aerosystems, and Koch Industries. I should also mention that both Pizza Hut and White Castle were founded in Wichita, although their headquarters have since moved. The Wichita Metro is home to several colleges and universities, the most notable being the former basketball powerhouse, Wichita State University. Call me shallow, but when it comes to cities, I think appearances matter, which is why I like to evaluate a city's skyline. Considering Wichita's modest population, I think it has a decent-looking skyline. If you took the average height of Wichita's tallest 5 buildings, it would be ranked as the 83rd tallest skyline in the country, falling between Albuquerque and Tucson. The tallest building in the city is the Epic Center, which is the tallest building in all of Kansas at 385 feet or 117 meters. One of the defining buildings of the cityscape is the domed building known as the Century II Performing Arts Center, which is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The primary physical symbol of the city, however, is the Keeper of the Plains Monument, which stands 44 feet tall at the very tip of land where the Arkansas and Little Arkansas rivers come together. The sculpture is of a Native American warrior with arms raised to the sky and is meant to honor the heritage of the indigenous peoples of the plains. The figure is surrounded by fire pits, which are lit each night in what is referred to as the Ring of Fire. The sculpture is such a strong symbol for the city that I kept seeing many versions of it throughout Wichita when I visited. Across the river from the Keeper of the Plains is one of the most eye-catching buildings in the cityscape, the Exploration Place Science Museum. Most of the museum exhibits are in the Island Building, which sits between the river and a reflecting pool. We visited the famous Indianapolis Children's Museum about a month after visiting Wichita, and our kids actually enjoyed Exploration Place in Wichita more. A unique highlight of the museum is the 3-story medieval castle with various hands-on exhibits. A Wichita museum that captures the historical identity of the city is the Kansas Aviation Museum. As I mentioned earlier in the video, during the 20s, Wichita became known as the air capital of the world due to the huge amount of aircraft manufactured in the city, which is demonstrated throughout the museum. The museum itself is located in the beautiful Art Deco Wichita Municipal Airport Terminal building. A highlight of the museum is that you're able to go up in the airport tower and get a sense for the rich aviation heritage of the city. One of the major chapters of Wichita's aviation history was during World War II, when the city became the main manufacturing center for the B-29 Superfortress. The Superfortress was one of the most significant aircraft of World War II, especially given the fact that it was used to drop the atomic bombs. Today, there are only 2 left in the world that are still airworthy, and one of them is known as Dock and is located in the B-29 Dock Hangar Education and Visitor Center. Wichita has several other unique museums that are worth mentioning, one being the original Pizza Hut. As I mentioned earlier, Pizza Hut was founded in Wichita in 1958, and the original location still stands on the Wichita State campus. It has since been turned into a museum showing the history of the world-famous food chain. Another interesting museum would be the Museum of World Treasures. It's a world history museum and is located in a renovated 3-story warehouse. The museum has an impressive collection of historical artifacts, from Ivan the T-Rex, which has the most complete tale of any T-Rex fossil when it was discovered, to Egyptian mummies. One of the exhibits that I find most fascinating is the 50-foot-long timeline showing the various Roman emperors and their coinage. I think Wichita has one of the most underrated botanical gardens in the country, known as Botanica Wichita. On top of being a beautiful garden, Botanica Wichita has several other unique features, such as a charming kids area built around a large treehouse, a section of the garden where a giant troll is crawling out from under the grass, and a historic restored carousel. Just to the south of Botanica Wichita is the old Cowtown Museum, where they've recreated what Wichita would have been like in the 1860s. Only 3% of all museums in the country are accredited by the American Alliance of Museums, and the old Cowtown Museum is one of those prestigious museums to have that honor. I was surprised by how large the Living History Museum was, with over 54 historic and recreated buildings. Well, that does it for my video about Wichita. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.